Welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to dive deep into the fascinating world of United States coinage, and in this video we will be talking about the 1988 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, a coin that carries both history and hidden value, and believe it or not, the current market value of some rare conditions of this coin has reached an astonishing $52,364. Now let us start from the beginning. The Washington quarter was first introduced in the year 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. Before the Washington quarter, the Standing Liberty quarter was in circulation, but the government and the Treasury wanted to replace it with a coin that paid tribute to Washington. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, whose profile of George Washington became one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage history. Fast forward to 1988. By this time, the Washington quarter had already been circulating for more than 5 decades, and millions of these coins were being struck every year. The 1988 quarter was produced at 2 major minting facilities, one in Philadelphia and the other in Denver. The Denver Mint coins carry the D Mint mark on the obverse side of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. This D mark indicates that the coin came from the Denver Mint. The 1988 D Washington quarter is made from a copper nickel-clad composition. It has a weight of 5.67 grams and a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. Just like most clad quarters of the modern era, the obverse features the familiar bust of George Washington facing left with the inscriptions "Liberty in God We Trust" and the mint year 1988, while the reverse design still carried the heraldic eagle with its wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing both strength and peace. At first glance, the 1988 D quarter may look like any other regular pocket change coin, but the truth is collectors know that certain varieties, conditions, and errors make some of these quarters extremely rare and therefore extremely valuable. So what makes a 1988 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter worth more than $52,000? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and collector demand. Let us first talk about rarity. Although the Denver Mint struck well over 800 million quarters in 1988, the majority of these coins entered circulation and were used heavily in day-to-day transactions, meaning they acquired scratches, wear and tear, and other damage. Only a very small number survived in pristine mint state condition, and even fewer in higher grades like MS-67, MS-68, or MS-69 by the professional grading services. Coins in these near-perfect states are highly desirable. The second factor is condition. Grading services like PCGS and NGC play a huge role in assigning value to coins. An average circulated 1988 D quarter may only be worth its face value of 25 cents, but if you happen to find a coin that looks flawless with no visible scratches, with sharp details, and with a strong strike, then you may be holding a coin worth thousands of dollars at auction. The third factor is errors and varieties in the coin world. Mint errors make coins extremely popular with collectors. Some 1988 D quarters were struck off center or on defective planchets, or with doubled dies. These rare error coins are in high demand, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. Imagine finding a quarter where the obverse letters look doubled, or where the eagle on the reverse looks slightly shifted. Such unusual quirks make your coin stand out among millions of others. Now let us discuss the market value in detail. Most 1988 D Washington quarters in circulated condition will only be worth face value. However, when you get into uncirculated grades, things change dramatically. An MS-65 graded coin can bring around $10 to $50, and MS-66 can bring hundreds. An MS-67 jumps into the thousands, and the rare MS-68 can break into tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, one of the highest recorded auction sales for a 1988 D Mint Mark Washington quarter reached $52,364, which is absolutely mind-blowing for a coin that originally had a face value of just 25 cents. Think about it, you could hold a coin that many people overlook in their change jar or wallet, and yet under the right circumstances that very coin could be worth more than a brand new car, or even more than some people make in an entire year. That is the magic of coin collecting. Now let us expand into the historical significance. In the late 1980s, the United States Mint was producing coins at an incredible pace. The economy was growing and coins were in high demand for circulation. 1988 saw millions of nickels, dimes, quarters, and pennies struck, yet even among these countless coins, the Denver Mint quarters stand out today because of the condition. rarity, and value when preserved carefully. Collectors who focus on Washington quarters often aim to assemble complete sets including different mint marks and different years, and for someone aiming to build a high-grade registry set, the 1988 D mint mark in ultra-high grade becomes a key piece, and that is why competition is fierce whenever such a coin appears at major auctions. Another interesting aspect is that while the average person might dismiss coins from the 1980s as common modern pocket change, serious numismatists know that these decades are now being rediscovered. Coins that once seemed too modern are now 35+ years old, and their rarity in pristine condition becomes more apparent with each passing year. Now let us take a moment to imagine how you might find one of these coins. First, you may check your pocket change, though the odds are slim. Second, you can visit local coin shops where dealers sometimes underestimate or overlook high-grade coins. Third, you can attend coin shows or browse online auction platforms such as heritage auctions or eBay where rare coins often appear, but the key is knowing how to identify high-grade pieces and era varieties. The journey of the 1988 D quarter does not stop at value alone, it also connects us with American history. Every time you hold a Washington quarter, you are reminded of the legacy of George Washington, the principles of liberty and trust, and the artistry of American coinage. Now let us go deeper into coin grading. When a coin is sent to a professional grading service, it is carefully examined under magnification. The luster strikes surfaces and any imperfections are studied. The coin is then assigned a grade on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. In the case of the 1988 D Washington quarter, very few have ever been graded at the top end, which is why collectors compete so fiercely for them. When we speak of that $52,364 coin, it was not just any quarter, it was a coin in nearly perfect condition, preserved since the day it left the Denver Mint decades ago, perhaps kept in a mint set or by a careful collector, and when it appeared at auction, bidders drove the price up to astonishing heights. This proves that even a modern coin from the late 20th century can achieve legendary status in numismatics. So why should you care about the 1988 D quarter? If you are a collector, you already know the thrill of searching for hidden gems. If you are new to coin collecting, then this story shows you that valuable coins do not always come from the 1800s or early 1900s. Sometimes they are as recent as the 1980s, and sometimes they may already be sitting in your coin jar right now. Another point to highlight is storage and preservation. If you want to protect the value of a coin, you need to keep it safe from scratches, humidity, and contact with other coins. Coin flips, holders, and albums are essential for maintaining condition. The difference between a coin graded MS-65 and one graded MS-68 can literally be worth tens of thousands of dollars, so proper care makes all the difference. Let us also consider the collector community. Coin collecting has been called the hobby of kings, but it is also a hobby for everyday people. Young and old collectors alike treasure the thrill of finding coins that hold both beauty and value. The 1988 D Washington quarter is one such example that continues to capture attention. As we reach the closing thoughts, remember that every coin tells a story, and the 1988 D mint mark Washington $quarter coin tells a story of American history, of minting technology, of artistry, and of incredible value hidden in plain sight. So next time you see a quarter, do not dismiss it. Take a closer look. Check for the D mint mark, check the year, check the condition. Who knows, maybe, just maybe, you will be holding a treasure worth $52,364. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the history, value, and significance of the 1988 D mint mark Washington $quarter coin. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with fellow collectors, because you never know whose pocket change might hold the next valuable treasure. Welcome back to our channel. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of rare American coins, and in this video we will explore in full detail the 1996 D mint mark Washington $quarter coin, its history, its background, its rarity, its unique features, and the surprising current market value, which has been reported as high as $63,225. Now let us begin our journey by stepping back in time to understand the origins of the Washington quarter itself. The $quarter as a denomination has existed since the earliest years of the United States Mint, but the Washington quarter series specifically was first introduced in 1932. This was a significant year because it marked the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The coin was intended as a one-year commemorative issue, but it became so popular that it continued on and has now become one of the longest-running coin series in American History. The Washington quarter design features the profile portrait of George Washington on the obverse or front side of the coin. This portrait was designed by sculptor John Flanagan, who submitted it in the early 30s. The reverse side originally displayed an eagle with outstretched wings symbolizing strength, freedom, and endurance. For decades, the design remained unchanged until later modern redesigns took place in 1999 with the State Quarter program. Now let us fast forward to the year 1996, a very special year for many collectors because it fell in the later years of the classic Washington quarter eagle reverse design before the state quarters would arrive in 1999. The 1996 Washington quarter is interesting not only because it was part of that late stage era but also because the Denver Mint, where the D Mint mark comes from, produced a large quantity of coins, but among those millions a very small number have shown extraordinary rarity due to minting errors, die varieties, and exceptional preservation. The Denver Mint, located in Colorado, has been producing coins since 1906 and is well known for its heavy contribution to circulating coinage. In 1996, the Mint struck over 800 million Washington quarters, but the key point here is that the vast majority of those coins were ordinary circulation strikes worth only face value. However, when it comes to coin collecting, rarity and value are not measured by mintage totals alone. Instead, they are determined by conditioned scarcity of specific variations and demand among serious collectors. When we speak about the 1996 D Washington quarter dollar coin reaching values of over $63,000, we are talking about only the most extraordinary examples. These are typically coins that fall into the category of either a unique era coin or a perfect high-grade specimen certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC. Let us break this down further so you can understand why one particular coin can be worth a fortune while another of the same date and mint mark may only be worth 25 cents. First, let us consider condition. Condition is everything in the coin world. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with higher numbers representing better preservation. A coin that has circulated heavily may be graded as good or fine, but a coin that has never entered circulation and has been preserved with its original luster can reach grades of mint state 65, 66, 67, or even higher. Very few Washington quarters from 1996 Denver reach those top grades, and when they do, collectors are willing to pay massive premiums because they are essentially time capsules from the mint, untouched and perfect. Second, let us consider minting errors. An error coin is created when something unusual happens during the minting process. Sometimes dies crack, sometimes coins are struck off center, sometimes double strikes occur, sometimes a different denomination planchet is used by mistake. These errors can transform an ordinary coin into a rare collectible one-of-a-kind coin. A spectacular error on a 1996 D Washington quarter could command prices far above normal, and that is part of what pushes certain examples into the tens of thousands of dollars range. Third, let us consider varieties. Sometimes the mint uses different dies, and these dies may have subtle differences that are later discovered by collectors over time. Certain die varieties become highly sought after even though they were unnoticed at the time of production. A double die obverse or reverse, or a special die crack or misalignment can add huge value and make the coin not just rare but unique in the eyes of a collector. Now let us move into the broader history to provide context for why the Washington quarter has held such importance since its introduction in 1932. For over 6 decades before the state quarter program, the Washington quarter served as a stable, familiar coin design. Americans carried them in their pockets every day. They were used in vending machines, pay phones, parking meters, and countless transactions. The eagle reverse became iconic and familiar in American life by 1996. This design was approaching its final years, and collectors today often look at these late-stage quarters with nostalgia. They represent the last chapter of a classic era. When we look at coin markets, it is important to note that values fluctuate based on collector interest, auctions, demand, and rarity. While most 1996 D Washington quarters are worth only their face value of 25 cents, there have been exceptional examples sold at auction for astonishing amounts. One such coin, graded at the very highest level and preserved flawlessly, has been reported to fetch values of $63,225, making it one of the most expensive late 20th century quarters known to collectors. Let us imagine how such a sale takes place. A collector or dealer discovers a flawless 1996 D Washington quarter. Perhaps it was pulled directly from a mint set and preserved for decades without ever touching human hands. It is then sent to a professional grading service which certifies the grade as MS-68 or MS-69, an extraordinary condition that fewer than a handful of coins may ever achieve. Once certified, the coin is placed in an auction with high-end collectors bidding against each other because they recognize the rarity of the opportunity. The bidding escalates and eventually reaches an eye-popping figure far beyond what most would ever imagine for a modern quarter. It is not only about the money, though, it is also about history. Owning such a coin is like holding a piece of American heritage in your hand. It represents craftsmanship, the minting process, and the preservation of our national symbols and metal for future generations. Now let us go deeper into what collectors should look for if they come across a 1996 D Washington quarter. First, check the condition. If the coin has heavy wear, scratches, or loss of detail, it is likely only worth face value. However, if the coin appears sharp, bright, and uncirculated with no signs of wear, it may be worth setting aside. Second, examine carefully for errors or unusual features. Look for doubling, missed strikes, or off-center strikes, as these can add significant value. Third, consider sending the coin to a grading service, because without certification it can be difficult to realize top dollar in the market. Buyers trust third-party grading companies, and they often pay premiums for coins that have been officially graded. Another important point is the role of population reports. Grading services regularly publish population reports which indicate how many coins of a given date and mint mark have been certified at each grade level. If a 1996 D Washington quarter has only a handful certified at MS-68, then its rarity is clear and collectors will chase after it. This scarcity drives the price upward and explains how we can see values reaching tens of thousands of dollars. Now let us step back again to the larger story of coin collecting. Coin collecting, also known as numismatics, is one of the oldest hobbies in the world, and for many it is more than just a hobby. It is a passion, and sometimes even an investment. Market collectors search for coins that tell stories of history, culture, art, and economy. Each coin carries within it the context of its time period. When you hold a 1996 D quarter, you are holding a piece of the 1990s, a time of rapid technological change, shifting politics, and evolving culture. Another layer of fascination is how coins that are common in circulation can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. A quarter minted in 1996 in Denver would have been used for bus fares, laundry machines, or arcade games, yet a perfectly preserved or error-struck example can be transformed into a six-figure collectible. This duality between ordinary use and extraordinary value is part of what makes numismatics endlessly fascinating. As we continue exploring the coin market, it is important to understand that while stories of $63,000 quarters grab headlines, the reality is that finding such a coin is extremely rare for the average person. Most quarters from 1996 will remain face value, but that should not discourage collectors, because every coin examined is part of the treasure hunt, and every discovery of an error or a high-grade coin adds to the thrill of the hobby. Now let us talk about the modern collecting community. Collectors today often gather online through forums, auction houses, and social media groups where they share discoveries and discuss rare finds. The 1996 D Washington quarter is frequently mentioned as a modern rarity, and images of high-grade coins often circulate with excitement. When one appears on the market, it becomes the subject of much discussion and speculation. Welcome to another exciting video where we explore the fascinating world of coins, currency, and rare collectibles. Today we are going to take a deep dive into the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin, a modern coin that may seem ordinary to many people but has a history and story that make it truly unique and extremely valuable in some rare conditions. Today we will cover its history, design, background, minting details, significance, and of course the shocking market value that has reached as high as $76,905. So sit back, relax, and join me as we explore the world of the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has a long and rich history. It was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The coin replaced the standing Liberty quarter, and from that moment on it became a symbol of patriotism and national pride. The obverse side of the coin has always carried the portrait of George Washington, although the design has seen slight modifications over the decades. The reverse side, however, has seen the greatest changes because it was used as a canvas to celebrate American history, culture, and geography. Fast forward to the year 2013. This was the fourth year of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which began in 2010. This program was launched by the United States Mint to honor national parks, forests, historic sites, and other Important landmarks across the country each year. 5 new designs were released on the reverse side of the Washington quarter. The year 2013 featured 5 stunning designs, including White Mountain National Forest in New Hampshire, Perry's Victory and International Peace Memorial in Ohio, Great Basin National Park in Nevada, Fort McHenry National Monument, an historic shrine in Maryland, and Mount Rushmore National Memorial in South Dakota. These 5 designs were engraved with incredible detail, making the 2013 quarter stand out in the entire series. The coin we are discussing today is the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington quarter. The P Mint Mark means that it was minted in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Mint has a long tradition of producing coins since the earliest days of American coinage, and in 2013 it produced millions of quarters for circulation. However, as with many coins, not all were created equal. Some were struck under perfect conditions with flawless details, and some were preserved in pristine condition by collectors right from the moment they were released. These rare high-grade coins are the ones that become extremely valuable at auctions and coin shows. Now let us talk about the obverse side of the 2013 Washington quarter. The obverse design features the familiar portrait of George Washington, originally created by sculptor John Flanagan in 1932. Over the years, the portrait has been slightly modified to sharpen the details and modernize its appearance. The 2013 quarter shows Washington facing left with the word Liberty above his head, the phrase "In God We Trust" to the left, and the denomination $quarter at the bottom. The mint mark P appears on the obverse as well, making it easy to identify on the reverse side. Each of the 5 2013 quarters carried different designs. For example, the White Mountain quarter featured a breathtaking view of Mount Chocorua framed by the forest and Lake. The Perry's Victory design honored the War of 1812 with the iconic memorial column rising tall in Ohio. The Great Basin quarter depicted the famous bristlecone pine tree, one of the oldest living trees on Earth. The Fort McHenry quarter celebrated the site that inspired Francis Scott Key to write the Star-Spangled Banner during the War of 1812. And finally, the Mount Rushmore quarter showed the sculptors working on the monument itself, providing a unique view of the iconic landmark. Each reverse design tells a story of American pride and achievement, making these coins miniature works of art. Now you may ask, why is a 2013 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin worth so much money? The answer lies in rarity, demand, and condition. Although millions of coins were minted, only a handful survive in the highest grades, such as Mint State 67, Mint State 68, or even proof-like condition. Collectors are always searching for these top-grade examples because they are nearly impossible to find. In everyday circulation, a coin graded at such a high level has no scratches, no wear, and sharp details. It looks exactly as it did when it left the mint. In auctions, such coins can fetch massive sums, and the record sale for a 2013 P Mint Mark Washington quarter has shocked many collectors with a price of $76,905. This value may sound unbelievable for a modern coin, but it is true. In the world of numismatics, rarity is not only about age, but also about condition. For example, you could have a quarter from the 1800s that is heavily worn, and it might sell for only a few dollars, while a modern coin like the 2013 quarter in perfect condition with sharp strike and luster can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. The demand from collectors for flawless coins is always strong, and that demand is what drives up the prices. Let us talk a little bit about the grading system used to evaluate coins. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale developed by Dr. William Sheldon. The scale runs from Poor 1 to Mint State 70. A coin that is graded MS 70 is considered absolutely perfect without even the slightest flaw. These coins are almost impossible to find in circulation and are usually discovered in mint sets or rolls that were preserved by collectors early on. Most 2013 P quarters that you find in your pocket change will grade somewhere between about uncirculated and extremely fine, meaning they will never reach high values, but the few that grade MS 67 or MS 68 are the ones that cross into the rare and expensive territory. Another important factor that makes the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington quarter valuable is the America the Beautiful Quarters program itself. Many collectors try to complete entire sets of these coins with all 5 designs for every year from 2010 to 2020, when the program ended in 2021. So collectors today are eager to find the best possible coins from the earlier years, including 2013, since Philadelphia produced a massive number of coins. Some may think they are common, but in truth high-grade examples are rare and highly sought after. Now let us look at the historical and cultural significance of the designs released in 2013. The White Mountain design celebrated the beauty of New Hampshire's forests and mountains, highlighting the connection between nature and American identity. Perry's Victory design honored the heroism of Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry and the peace that followed after the War of 1812. The Great Basin Quarter emphasized the natural wonder of the bristlecone pine, which has survived for thousands of years in harsh conditions, symbolizing endurance and strength. Fort McHenry's design honored the resilience of the United States during wartime, and Mount Rushmore's design connected us with the monumental achievements of human creativity and determination. Each of these coins reflects an important aspect of American history and values, making them more than just pieces of metal. They are storytelling tools captured in art and design. Collectors often debate which of the 5 designs of 2013 is the most valuable. While all can reach high values and perfect grades, the Mount Rushmore design and the Perry's Victory design have been reported as selling for some of the highest amounts. The combination of popular subject matter, detailed engraving, and scarcity in high grade has pushed their auction values to incredible levels. It is also important to understand that coin values are always fluctuating. The price of $76,905 was reached at a particular auction under the right conditions, with motivated collectors bidding against each other. Today, the coin may sell for slightly less or even more depending on the market. Coin values are influenced by collector demand, the economy, and the availability of high-grade examples. That is why, if you happen to find a 2013 P Mint Mark Washington quarter in pristine condition, it is always a good idea to have it professionally graded and appraised. Imagine going through your pocket change or an old roll of quarters from the bank and suddenly discovering a coin that looks flawless, bright, shiny, and untouched. That coin could be a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. Stories of ordinary people discovering rare coins in their daily lives are part of what makes numismatics so exciting. Collectors often say that the thrill of the hunt is just as rewarding as the value itself. Now let us dive deeper into the Philadelphia Mint, where the 2013 P quarters were struck. The Philadelphia Mint is one of the oldest and most iconic coin producing facilities in the world. It began operations in 1792 and has been the birthplace of billions of coins ever since. In 2013, the Mint continued its tradition of precision and craftsmanship, producing quarters for both circulation and collector sets. Each coin was struck on planchets made of copper nickel clad, giving them durability and shine. Despite the mass production process, a few coins came out with nearly perfect quality that would later become legendary among collectors. The 2013 P quarter also represents a time in American coinage when the United States Mint was dedicated to educating the public about history, geography, and culture through coins. The America the Beautiful series helped connect people with places they may have never visited before, inspiring curiosity and pride. For that reason, these coins hold both historical and sentimental value in addition to their monetary worth. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of United States coinage, and we are focusing on the 2019 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, a piece of modern American currency that has become one of the most talked about coins in recent years because of its unique history and its surprising current market value that has shocked collectors and casual observers alike, with some examples reportedly being valued as high as $88,900. To truly appreciate the significance of this coin, we have to go back to the origins of the Washington quarter and trace how it has evolved over time, and how a coin minted in 2019 at the Philadelphia Mint could end up being one of the most valuable pieces in circulation. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 as a way to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the first president of the United States. The original design, by sculptor John Flanagan, showed a left-facing portrait of Washington on the obverse with the word Liberty above his head, the motto "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date beneath. On the reverse there was an eagle with wings spread perched on a bundle of arrows and framed by olive branches. This design remained largely unchanged for decades, and it became one of the most recognizable coins in American pockets. Fast forward to the late 20th century, and into the early 21st century, the Washington quarter began to undergo some of the most dramatic changes in its long history, with the state quarters program starting in 1999 and running through 2008. The design on the reverse of the quarter changed every few months to celebrate each state in the Union. This program reinvigorated the hobby of coin collecting, and millions of Americans found themselves checking their pocket change hoping to find new designs. After that came the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which began in 2010 and continued through 2021. This program depicted national parks and historic sites from across the country on the reverse of the coin. Now, when we arrive at the year 2019, the U.S. Mint had multiple designs circulating as part of the America the Beautiful series, but there was something very special about certain quarters that year, including those struck at the Philadelphia Mint with the P Mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint is one of the oldest mints in the United States, and it has produced billions of coins over the centuries. However, not every Philadelphia minted coin carries significant value. Most are worth only face value in circulation, but in rare cases such as the 2019 P Mint mark Washington quarter, collectors discovered unusual qualities that turned them into highly valuable treasures. The 2019 quarters honored 5 different sites: Lowell National Historical Park in Massachusetts, the American Memorial Park in the Northern Mariana Islands, the War in the Pacific National Historical Park in Guam, the San Antonio Missions National Historical Park in Texas, and the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness in Idaho. Each design carried rich symbolism representing culture, heritage, and natural beauty, but the real excitement came not only from the designs but also from rare errors and pristine conditions that made specific coins extremely desirable. Now let us look closer at why the 2019 P Mint mark quarter has been valued at up to $88,900. First, we have the factor of rarity. While billions of quarters were minted overall, only a very small number of the Philadelphia minted coins with certain striking errors or extremely high grades from professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC have commanded astronomical prices. Errors can include doubled dies, off-center strikes, missing letters, or unusual surface anomalies. These make a coin unique, and collectors pay a premium for uniqueness. Second, we have conditioned. The grading scale for coins ranges from poor all the way to mint state, with higher numbers like MS68, MS69, or even MS70 being nearly perfect specimens for modern coins. Such grades are incredibly rare since most quarters immediately enter circulation and pick up scratches, dings, and where finding a 2019 P quarter in perfect mint state condition is exceedingly difficult, and this rarity drives up the value. Third, we have demand, and this is a huge factor. The numismatic community thrives on demand and trends. Sometimes a coin catches the attention of the media or collectors groups, and suddenly it becomes a hot item that everyone wants. The 2019 P quarters, especially with the Lowell National Historical Park design, were in the spotlight because of their crisp detail and the potential for striking anomalies that made them valuable. As a result, auctions began to show coins selling for thousands, and in some cases prices escalated to astonishing levels, reaching that headline-making number of $88,900 for one specimen in the right condition with the right era. Now imagine for a moment you are holding a coin that most people would casually spend on a soda or drop into a parking meter, but instead that coin is a life-changing find worth nearly $90,000. It almost sounds unbelievable, but this is the reality of modern coin collecting, and it highlights why collectors constantly remind people to check their change carefully, because treasures can appear in the most ordinary of places. Let us take a moment to talk about the broader historical impact of the Washington quarter, and why the 2019 P version matters so much. George Washington remains a central figure in American history, and the decision to honor him on a $quarter was not just about commemorating his birth, but also about placing a symbol of leadership and unity into the hands of every American. Over the decades, the quarter has become more than just money. It has become a canvas for storytelling, from the bald eagle design to the state quarters and America the Beautiful series. Each new design adds to a long timeline of American culture and history. In 2019, when the Philadelphia Mint released these quarters, they were not thinking about making instant rarities. They were fulfilling their role in providing coinage for commerce. But the magic of collecting is that sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes coins survive in pristine, untouched condition, and sometimes a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and demand turns an ordinary 25-cent piece into something extraordinary that captures headlines and captivates collectors around the globe. Now let us shift to what makes this coin so exciting for everyday people. How can you tell if you might have a valuable 2019 P Washington quarter in your possession? First, always check the mint mark located on the obverse near Washington's ponytail. If you see the letter P, that means it was minted in Philadelphia. Next, carefully examine the coin under good lighting. Look for unusual doubling in the lettering, or in Washington's profile, look for off-center images, look for unusual blank areas or extra metal. These are error signs that can increase value. If your coin appears flawless with sharp details, no scratches, and a mirror-like shine, you may be looking at a high-grade example which could be worth sending to a grading service. Another key step is to research recent auction results. Coin values change based on market conditions and collector interest, so a coin that once sold for $88,900 may not always bring that exact number, but it still shows the potential value ceiling for this issue. Some examples may be worth hundreds or thousands depending on their grade and rarity, and if you are lucky enough to have one of the most flawless and rare error varieties, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The story of the 2019 P Mint Mark Washington quarter is also part of a larger lesson in modern coin collecting. Many people believe valuable coins only come from the distant past, like rare gold coins or early American silver dollars, but the reality is that treasures can emerge from any year. Even in our own time, the U.S. Mint continues to innovate with designs, and collectors continue to scrutinize every release looking for something extraordinary. And when that happens, as it did in 2019, the results can be history-making. As we approach the conclusion of our deep dive, let us reflect on the journey of this humble quarter, from its origins as a commemoration of George Washington's legacy to its transformation into a symbol of American culture through countless design changes to the shocking market value of certain modern examples. The 2019 P Mint Mark Washington quarter has proven that even in the 21st century, coins can still surprise us, they can still capture our imagination, and they can still change lives. So the next time you have some change in your pocket, take a closer look. Do not dismiss that shiny quarter as just another coin. It could be history in your hands. It could be a piece that connects you to the story of America, and if you are lucky, it could be worth far more than 25 cents. And that wraps up today's exploration of the 2019 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, a story of history, artistry, rarity, and incredible value. From its deep roots in the legacy of George Washington to its surprising rise to a market value of $88,900, this coin reminds us why collecting remains such a fascinating hobby. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into numismatic history, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content about rare coins and hidden treasures found in everyday life. Share this video with friends who might have a 2019 quarter sitting in a drawer, and leave a comment below telling us about the most interesting coin you have ever found. Until next time, keep looking closely at your change, because the next treasure might already be in your hand. Welcome to today's deep dive into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures that could be sitting in your pocket right now. In this video, we are going to talk about the fascinating story behind the 2022 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, a coin that many people have handled without giving a second thought. Yet, in the world of collectors, it has reached a staggering current market value of $83,847. Yes, you heard that right, a single 25-cent piece from 2022 carrying the Denver Mint Mark has managed to capture the attention of numismatists across the world because of its history, rarity, and the unique details that make it incredibly desirable. Before we talk about why this coin has such a high market value, let us go back in time and understand the background of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter first appeared in 1932. To honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the original design was created by John Flanagan, featuring the left-facing bust of the first President of the United States on the obverse, while the reverse depicted the bold and striking American eagle. For decades, this design became a staple in American currency and circulated widely across the nation. Fast forward to the 21st century, the Washington quarter underwent several transformations, including the famous state quarters program from 1999 to 2008, where every state received a unique reverse design. Then came the America the Beautiful series from 2010 to 2021, which celebrated national parks and monuments. Finally, in 2022, the United States Mint introduced an exciting new program called the American Women Quarters Program, which aimed to honor significant women in American history through the designs on the reverse side of the Washington quarter. The year 2022 marked the very first release of this groundbreaking series. The obverse of the quarter was redesigned as well, this time instead of using John Flanagan's classic portrait, the Mint chose to return to the original design by Laura Garden Fraser, whose work was actually recommended back in 1931 for the Washington Quarter but was overlooked for political reasons for the first time in circulation history. Her right-facing portrayal of George Washington finally appeared on the Quarter in 2022. This was an important historical correction, and added to the collectible appeal of these coins. Now let us focus on the specific 2022 D Mint Mark Washington Quarter. The D Mint Mark stands for the Denver Mint, one of the main facilities responsible for producing coins for circulation in the United States. Millions of 2022 quarters were struck at the Denver facility, but not every coin is created equal within this massive production run. Certain quarters left the mint with rare variations, unique striking qualities, or even minting errors that make them worth far more than face value. Collectors quickly noticed that a small group of these 2022 D quarters displayed extraordinary qualities. Some of them showed sharper strikes, stronger luster, and cleaner surfaces than the rest. Others had die errors, double die, obverse issues, or striking anomalies that set them apart from the regular circulation coins. For a seasoned numismatist, these details mean everything, because rarity combined with historical importance is the formula for a coin skyrocketing in value. So why has this particular 2022 D Mint Mark Washington Quarter reached a market value as high as $83,847? It all comes down to a few factors. First, the fact that it is part of the debut year of the American Women Quarters program automatically gives it historic significance. The first year of any series is almost always the most desirable because it represents the beginning of a new chapter in coinage. Second, the obverse design by Laura Garden Fraser is iconic. It connects collectors not just to the 21st century but also to the legacy of early 20th century American coin art. Third, the rarity of high-grade specimens or rare varieties is fueling demand. Let me explain how coin grading works, which is crucial to understanding the value of this quarter. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect mint state coin free of any flaws. Most quarters from 2022 that have been in circulation show signs of wear, scratches, or handling marks. These are typically worth only face value. However, a handful of quarters that have been preserved in pristine mint state condition, especially those graded MS68 or higher, have been auctioned at extraordinary prices. One example is the 2022 D Washington Quarter that achieved an MS68 grade and sold for nearly $84,000 at a major auction. This was possible because collectors are willing to pay a premium for top population coins, meaning the finest known examples. Imagine the excitement of holding a coin you picked up in change at a grocery store, only to later discover that in mint state condition it could be worth more than $80,000. This is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It transforms everyday pocket change into a treasure hunt where attention to detail and knowledge can lead to life-changing discoveries. The story of the 2022 D Mint Mark Quarter also ties into a broader trend in the hobby of numismatics. In recent years, collectors have been paying more attention to modern coins, not just the older classics like Morgan silver dollars or wheat pennies. Modern coins with unique designs, errors, and historical significance are proving that they too can command impressive values in the marketplace. The 2022 quarters are particularly appealing because they symbolize a new era in American coinage while also correcting the historical oversight of Laura Garden Fraser's portrait of George Washington. Another factor adding to the mystique of this coin is the American Women Quarters program itself. In 2022, the first 5 women honored on the reverse included Maya Angelou, Sally Ride, Wilma Mankiller, Nina Otero Warren, and Anna Mae Wong. Each of these designs has cultural and historical importance, representing progress, diversity, and recognition of influential figures in American history. Owning a first-year Denver struck quarter with these designs is not just about collecting metal, it is about holding a piece of cultural heritage in your hand. As more collectors compete for these top-grade or rare era specimens, the price continues to climb. Auctions are the best place to see this demand in action. Bidding wars often push the value far beyond expectations, leading to record-breaking sales that make headlines in the coin collecting world. For example, when one of the first 2022 D quarters in MS68 came up for auction, it shocked many by realizing over $83,000. This set a benchmark for the coin and established its reputation as one of the most valuable modern quarters ever released. Now you might Be wondering how you can tell if your 2022 Washington quarter could be valuable? The first step is to carefully examine the coin. If it has been in circulation for some time, it will likely have wear and scratches, making it worth only face value. However, if you happen to come across one that looks flawless with strong luster and sharp details, you may have something special. Another key step is to check for potential errors. Look closely for doubling in the lettering on the obverse or reverse. Look for die cracks, cuts, or misaligned strikes. Even small errors can increase the value of a coin dramatically. Once you believe you have a special coin, the next step is to have it graded by a professional third-party grading service such as PCGS or NGC. These companies authenticate the coin, assign it a grade, and encapsulate it in a protective holder. Coins that achieve the highest grades, or that are identified as unique error varieties, will be the ones to command thousands, and in some cases tens of thousands of dollars in the market. As the years go by, the value of these 2022 quarters may continue to rise, especially as the American Women Quarters program becomes more established and future generations look back at its first year. As historic collectors love first-year issues, and they also love coins that carry a compelling story. The 2022 Washington quarter has both, making it a modern treasure in the world of American numismatics. So to recap, the 2022 Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin is more than just a piece of change. It represents the beginning of a new era in United States coinage. It carries the long-awaited portrait by Laura Garden Fraser. It is part of the launch of the American Women Quarters program. It features rare error varieties and high-grade specimens that have sold for as much as $83,847 at auction, and most importantly, it shows us that even in the modern day, something as ordinary as a quarter can hold extraordinary value. If you are a collector or simply someone who loves history, keep an eye on your pocket change, because you never know what treasure might come your way. Remember, the 2022 Washington quarter may just be one of the coins that changes your life. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the history and value of the 2022 Mint Mark Washington quarter. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like this video, share it with fellow collectors, and subscribe for more stories about rare coins and the incredible value they hold.